It is 9:30. This is a regular open meeting of the Third Laguna Hills Mutual Board of Directors, a California nonprofit mutual benefit corporation. Today is Tuesday, March 18, 2025, 9:30 a.m. We are here at the boardroom, and the purpose of this meeting is to conduct a regular third mutual board meeting in accordance with Civil Code 4930 and was hereby noticed in accordance with Civil Code 4920. Since we have quorum, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Second, Pledge of Allegiance. Director Johnson.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Approval of agenda.
So moved.
Second. There is some changes on 7, response to the open forum. I'd like to propose 7A.
Number 4.
No, number 7.
Number 3. So
He's on approval of agenda. He wants to make a change to the
make a
agenda.
change.
Okay.
So
Sorry.
7A, current open forum response. 7B, last month's open forum follow-up. Okay? Is it agreeable?
Yep.
Okay, if there's no question, I assume it's approved. So if we do not need further changes or corrections, the approval agenda is approved. Item 4, approval of minutes. A, February 18, 2025, regular open meeting. So moved.
Second.
Second is Raja. Okay. Any question about the meeting minutes? No? So, unanimous consent. We approve. Item B, March 7, 2025, agenda prep meeting.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second would be,
I'll second.
okay, Ruth, second. So any concern or correction to be made with that? No? So it's approved, unanimous. 5, report of chair. Where's my script? Item 5, greetings to all of our Third Mutual members at home and attending in this boardroom. I would like to make continued comment on 2 important VMS department activities. First, MNC. Dry rot issue has affected the current status of enclosed balcony of GVA buildings. Many enclosed balcony of 4007, 4008, and 4009 need to be removed to repair dry rot. Also, many breezeway beams to be replaced due to the same issue. One potential source of moisture is our excessive flower pot in breezeway and the balcony as well. So I ask our compliance department to check our 53 GVA buildings breezeway status to make sure we are in compliance breezeway status. To make sure we are in compliance regarding flower pots, and the breezeway also need to be clear for emergency access as well. After GVA inspection is complete, the next are LH21 buildings. Second, moisture intrusion backlogs. Third board has been trying to remove backlog issues of moisture intrusion backlog. However, we still have many cases before we catch up, alleviate the backlog issues. Current estimation is toward the end of second quarter before we can finish 2023 moisture damage backlogs. Please be patient. Second, landscape department. The landscape team is actively addressing all the lawn repair needs and requests. Each foreman will identify and treat during the regular maintenance cycle. All existing tickets are expected to be completed within next 2 months. Last month, we had more than 700 tickets. I would like to make a comment on our major landscape projects. PPRP, it is ongoing project for post-paint program re-landscape project. Since some PPRP have been completed some area, I would like to ask our third residents to leave new plants alone. Do not change or modify anything. All new plants need time to grow. We observed already some plants been removed and fake flowers, those kind of things. We don't need to change at this point. Leave it alone. Slope maintenance, MTC contract project. Board asked to repair bare spots in our slopes. We have planted a new plant in some bare spots already, 170 plants in January, 765 plant in February. It is start an ongoing project. Shrub maintenance, as you all know, shrub maintenance cycle schedule has been increased from 2 cycle to 3 cycle per year. Tree maintenance, bottleneck contract, in-house service combined. If you see any poor maintenance or trim, please let us know as soon as possible. That's my comment. Thank you very much for listening. Now, item 6, open forum. Now, it is time for us to listen to our residents' comments, such as suggestions, ideas, or complaints. Prior to member comment, I would like to remind that any open forum speakers are limited for 3 minutes per speaker. At this time, members only may address a board of directors regarding items not on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of this board of directors. The board reserved the right to limit the total time allotted for open forum to 30 minutes. A member may speak only once during the forum. Speakers may not give their time to other members. No audio or video recording by attendees, and no rude or threatening comments are allowed. Members can attend our meeting by joining the Zoom link and email meeting vms.inc.org to have your message read during the open forum. Now, Michaela, could you give us?
Yes, we have 3 in-person speakers and then 1 that sent us an email that I'll read.
Okay.
Just wanted to let you guys know we have about 8 emails for the Vigus item that I'll raise my hand for at that time and
Okay.
read then. But yeah, just 1 email for open forum.
Okay.
So the first speaker is Brett Halsey.
I wrote this down because, you know, how it is when you get to my age. After watching Jules Zallen being shouted down at the last board meeting, I decided to speak up with a few questions and comments of my own. It's on record that Director Muchnick said, "You have no right to talk about staff." Director Park said, "You cannot make a comment about our staff." Director Moore said, "It's not legal, you know that." And one of you said this is not the time or place to complain about staff. Now I'm asking, when and where is the time and/or place to complain about staff? Must it be done in a closed session where we members are forbidden to witness such complaints? If so, why? And please cite the law that forbids us from participating. Plus, I've heard that the compliance department is a sort of kangaroo court set up by VMS that consists of VMS employees who are part of our security police force. Now, I would like to know how the judges are selected. Must they have some professional experience with legal mediation? Now, I was personally acquainted, as probably many of you were, with a recently deceased former uniformed member of our security police force. This gentleman's prior work experience was primarily in show business, as an entertainer. He was a very good entertainer, and I'm sure that he could have been quite persuasive as a judge, as long as someone provided him with a convincing script. And I'm hoping that you, as board members representing me and my fellow homeowners, will be able to answer my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll hold off a response, but
Sure.
who's next?
Let me see here. Renee Greenman.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm here to address the sidewalk issue I had in the previous months. We've been traveling, and I didn't attend the last board meeting. I spoke to Bart very quickly, and it was concerning the sidewalk, who put it in, that sidewalk that my neighbors have protested to take out. And I was told that a resident put it in, but he had no records of any records of who put it in. And so I want to find out more about that, because if a resident put it in for emergency reasons, for ambulances or fire trucks to come in because they can't get in through the carports, I understand that. But nobody knows the history of the sidewalk, and because of that history, you're asking me to pay the $10,000 to have it removed, which I can't even do because my neighbors are protesting it, and I have a very bad privacy issue going to my front door. I've been through every unit in Via Serena North and South, and no one has the sidewalk going to their front door. Nobody. I've seen other houses where they've extended the patio and put nice brick paving that I would be willing to do and take some cost for it, but I need a solution to this problem. My neighbors need access to that sidewalk, and they have to go through my front door, the little square area in front of my front door, all the time. There's about 7 neighbors there, and I need this addressed. I mean, I'm willing to work with you guys, but I'm just so stressed from this whole situation, I want to move. And not to get off the subject, but I find out the rules and regulations of moving from condo to condo. You only have a week to move, whereas you're owning 2 units, and you have to have the income for 2 units in the 6 months that you're buying and selling. And for seniors, I just think these rules are crazy. I mean, the co-ops, they give you 6 months to move, and and you're owning 2 at the same time, and they don't let you own 2 at the same time. So I don't understand the logic of the third not giving you enough time to buy and sell. And I for one would be willing to pay HOA fees or fines, if anything, if I couldn't sell my unit. But the time they give you is crazy. But I'm running out of time. So I know I addressed 2 issues here today, but the sidewalk issue is more important to me today. And I want to know who put it in. If you've done the research, I haven't spoken to Bart. If you got an answer to that, if it's still an open issue, and where we stand with this, because I know I shouldn't have to pay this $10,000 because it wasn't put in right to begin with. I'm not responsible for that, and I don't even know who put it in, and I'm out of time. Thank you for listening, and I hope we could address this issue.
Thank you.
Next speaker is Jules Allen.
Before you start, I have laryngitis, so I'm required to talk quietly. I know it will upset a few of you. Last month's open forum included some very upsetting comments from June Simpson, who was convicted without a shred of evidence and then victimized by a rogue compliance department that lied to the board in the hopes of conning them into reconvicting her after her conviction was overturned. Members watching will remember how I urged the board to gain control of this out-of-control department. If a regular prosecutor did that, they'd be disbarred. Yet 3 members of the current board exploded in anger, not at compliance, but at me for having the insolence to criticize our compliance department. Here's what Rob Muchnick had to say. You have no right to talk about staff. No right. I think I had an obligation to criticize staff. To borrow a famous quote, if not me, then who? Some HOA lawyers think like Mr. Muchnick thinks, so in order to avoid any such argument, which would only be a distraction, I resigned so that I could press the only important issue that bedevils this community, our members' constitutional due process rights, which are being abused. Hey, professional recommendations by staff make a lot of sense. If Kurt tells us we have to re-level a slope to avoid a mudslide, I'd vote for that. But what expertise or even competence does compliance have that we should listen to them about how to discipline ourselves? They're just a bunch of amateurs who are desperate to win convictions solely to prove to everybody how important they are. That's the only explanation why they falsified hearing minutes and then lied to reconvict June Simpson. They wanted to be proven right, and they were willing to lie about it. Yet when I complained to the board, I was shouted down. Well, until the board starts overseeing that rogue department, you're not doing your job. And the proof of the pudding is that every single time compliance recommends changing in the rules, no matter how absurd the recommendations are, the board meekly goes along. I have a growing file of unfair and essentially illegal prosecutions, and I invite anyone who has any more to contact me. Only when enough voices are raised is it likely that anyone on this board will listen. Thank you.
Thank you, Jules.
Next speaker is Patricia Monet.
Good morning, and thank you all for your service as board members. It's a big job. I am Patricia Hallman Minna. I am here speaking on... I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Siri wants to help me.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I apologize. Anyway, I am here on behalf of my owner. The unit number is 4004, number 1A. It is a Villa Nuevo model. It is a ground floor. This particular building is slab on grade, meaning I do not have the garages underneath us. We have dirt, we have slab foundation, and the unit. We are a ground floor. We have been going through an extensive remodel as the owner's mother passed away this last June. And a sister was going to live there. Now we're going to put it on the market. We have gone through all of the requirements and followed all the rules through alterations and the city of Laguna Woods, the building department, and we're about ready to have our final building permit signed off. What I'm here to speak about is, and I will say I'm not up on the finite detail of it, but we applied for a variance through alterations to add a washer-dryer connection while we were in the middle of this extensive remodel. The paperwork was filed. 3 days later, it was all rescinded. Bottom line was, we are not accepting any variances to request a washer and dryer in a 3-story building. So number one is, the whole point of having a variance is, it's a case study of a one-on-one situation. Very unique. That's the whole procedure in filing a variance. But the variance is filed because you're asking for a different rule change or a bending of the rule. What concerns me greatly is the owner has been denied the availability to update and take care of his unit. I will also say in our particular unit, we were waylaid 4 months while VMS came and redid all the plumbing in our unit, including jackhammering up our slab 4 feet below grade to redo the waistline because of tree roots. The beautiful news is VMS did what they legally were responsible to do because they own the plumbing and the rough in the walls. But we were denied the opportunity to install a washer and dryer. And that should not have happened. So I encourage the board, I'm speaking way too long, I encourage the board, we've got to open this back up because we were the perfect person to do this while all the contractors were on board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more?
And that's all for the in-person speakers. I am going to read an email from Chris Collins
Okay.
about the foundation of Laguna Woods. So it's from Chris Collins, Manor 3306Q. I'm here with an update on the work of the foundation of Laguna Woods Village that we do on behalf of residents experiencing temporary financial crises. 2024 was a busy year for the foundation of Laguna Woods Village. As the village's own local charity, we continue to provide temporary financial assistance to residents who are facing financial challenges. In addition, we work to improve the quality of life for all residents with some focused programs. To increase awareness of the help we provide, we want to share some of our accomplishments as we begin defining our goals for the coming year. Selected loneliness as our 2024 focus to counter social isolation stemming from the pandemic and foster greater social interaction. Initiated the Bus Lunch Nutrition Connections program to increase social interaction at the Florence Sylvester Senior Center by providing free lunch for 1 month for residents arriving by village bus. Piloted first at the towers and then offered village-wide. Over 50 participated, and after the 1 month free lunch trial, some residents continue in the program on their own. Completed work on the 2023 to 2024 Memorial Care Grant providing emergency response devices, or ERDs, to fall risk residents, with approximately 80 now rented, even saving the life of a 94-year-old. Continue to provide free fall prevention classes with Memorial Care for residents. Received a second Memorial Care grant this past November to provide financial assistance to residents needing hearing aids. 5 participants to date. Hearing loss is a major cause of social isolation and increased dementia risk. Residents may still apply. Organized and conducted the first free hearing loss screening for residents, with over 30 screened. Participated in Village 60th Anniversary Celebration. Participated in Village Peace Day. Completed last Planning for the Inevitable video on the subject of hospice care. All 8 videos may be viewed on our website. Developed and publicized the foundation's first Good Neighbor program to involve village clubs to increase social interaction. Selected and funded 5 club Good Neighbor projects involving Chinese American, African American, publishing, camera, and pickleball clubs, and also included the Buy High Club. held first joint meeting of all Good Neighbor Club participants to foster greater interaction among clubs, distributed holiday cheer grocery gift cards to approximately 130 residents, and provided approximately $210,000 in financial aid, including grocery and gas cards, to village residents facing financial challenges. These highlights are in addition to the foundation's continued funding of Meals on Wheels and Alzheimer's daycare. For more information about any of our services and programs, please go to our website at foundationoflagunawoodsvillage.org or contact the foundation at 949-268-2246 or at thefoundation@comline.com. And that is all for open forum.
Thank you. Now, 7A, current open forum response. The director respond? Yes.
I want to address the issue about the GVA washer and dryer. I think that was discussed a year ago. I think, the president is here, President GVA, and it was overwhelmingly decided by the members of GVA board and all of the members that they don't want washer and dryer. And that's where it comes from. And if you guys want to change that, you can talk among yourself and decide that you want a washer and dryer, you can come back. But that was a decision made by the member of GVA, not by the board, unilaterally. If I'm wrong, I would ask, sometimes say I'm wrong, and I accept that. But that's my understanding. If you guys want it again, let us know. Stuart,
Hi, I'm Stuart Hack, President of Gardenville Association. So, Gardenville Association was asked to find out from its members how they felt about having washers and dryers in our manors in order to give advice to Third Mutual Board to determine whether or not they should make a change and to start allowing it.
Yeah.
And it was, we had meetings, we had reviews, we had emails going out, and consistently the feeling of the people who live in three-story buildings is that this was not something that they wanted to have. And as a result, the resolution that was proposed by Third Mutual Board to allow laundry equipment in manors was rejected. And that's where it stands. Anybody who wants to take it up again, of course, is legally all right to do so, and it'll come before the board, and then the board will consider it. And one of the things hopefully the board will do is ask the people who live in three-story buildings whether this is a great idea or not. It is those of us who live in three-story buildings that experience the results of every pressure that we get on water flow in our buildings, every pressure we get from noise from people above us who are doing things, every pressure that we get from activities that are going on that disturb the peace of the people who live in the building. And it was on that basis that it was pretty consistent that members of people who live in three-story buildings don't want any addition to these things that disturb their way of living in their buildings. So
Thank you, Stuart. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
it looked like I was right.
Okay. You are.
The other
It's a three-story building.
three-story buildings.
It's not a guard villa.
I know, it's a three-story building.
Three-story building.
Then I'll send the letter.
Yeah, you can do that later.
Okay.
Please, yeah.
Okay, so let me- that good, yeah. So three-story buildings include LH21s, and LH21s have the same issues
Yes.
Yes.
with- as any other three-story building has, and that is the concern about the noise that is created for the affected apartments around there, as well as the other concerns about potential water intrusion. I mean, it goes on and on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stuart. The other one, I was going to, Mrs. Greenman, I'm going to ask M&C. I didn't know about this issue of that somebody put a driveway, I don't know, I mean walkway, sidewalk. I mean, I don't think that's allowed under anything because those are common areas. People don't, usually they could put walkways or something like that. We will look into that and, you know, definitely someone from the VMS going to get in touch with you and let you know. I don't know anything about it that, you know.
Can I say something?
Sure.
Come on the mic, please.
The gentleman Bart that was here, I don't know.
Who?
Bart.
Bart.
B-A-R-T.
Bart? Okay.
I don't know what position he holds here, but he was the one that got back to me, and he said he did the research, or somebody did the research, and they said that what you said, the sidewalk was put in by a resident, and that's what they were
Yeah.
fighting,
Okay.
why I should be paying for it.
I understand
So-
that. That's what I want to
Yeah,
figure
so-
out. I didn't know.
so
If that's
will I-
true, that's a different story.
Will I get
never
an
heard
answer
that.
for that? And we can go back to the issue
Absolutely.
of changing the sidewalk? Okay.
Yeah, we'll investigate that, and VMS is going to let you know if that's true or not. I don't
Okay.
know. That's why, you know, it's hard to comment on that.
Okay.
But we'll investigate and we'll
All
let
right.
you know.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I'm done, right?
Yeah, wait.
I got, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Never done. You're
Thank you very
You're
much.
here. The other comment I have is about Mr. Bart Haley and Mr. Jules Zolan. I really appreciate your concern about criticizing the staff. I don't think anybody on this board is against criticizing or commenting about the staff performance, anything like that. What we are looking at is accusation, slander, or things like that, unfounded one, that we, you know, accuse someone of something in the public arena without providing anything. And that's not the right thing to do in any, you know, situation. We are not, you know, we do that. We complain about, you know, sometimes about the services, about staff and all of that, and they're open-minded and they listen. There is nothing wrong with that, complaining versus accusation and slander, and those are things we try to avoid. And I appreciate if we avoid it, but, you know, it's up to the members if you want to continue with it. But, you know, my comment is that let's keep it, you know, in a civilized form, and just tell them, you know, there is a complaint, there is about performance, and I think this board will listen very carefully, and the VMS will listen very carefully. Staff would appreciate the comment about the complaint about the services and all of that too. And our job is to make sure that the communication is proper. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Okay, I'd like to make a comment regarding Jules. I think any comment is fine, but disparaging and hurtful comment is not allowed, I think. And I complained to our CEO, Siobhan, many times. And today even I complain, but different manner. It's not hurtful to her. I encourage her do the job fast enough so that our residents are happy with the result. In fact, today I saw manager went to 2396. Resident complained last night, and I forwarded that information to Siobhan, and Siobhan reacted immediately. Those kind of complaint is okay, but disparaging is not allowed to me. Don't, hurtful feeling. It's kind of a harassment. Don't do that, please. Thank you. Okay, now 7B. If there's no more response. Robert, you don't have anything? No, good. Okay. I think we need to go forward, please.
So you said something about comments that are hurtful. If a person is doing something
Please,
out of order and that is complained about, To
Okay.
whom should these complaints be made?
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, last month, members' comment. June Simpson case, landscaping is actively engaged in checking the slopes and repair the slopes. And also, she personally does not like one particular plant, but they are looking at it. Jennifer, Diane, Joshua, 3 items. It is in compliance department investigating. I got updated few times already. Mr. Stuart Heck, MS department try to find out whether they need railing or not. And also, I'm also waiting for engineering report on the garage CPG issue. I'm anxious to see the report as well. So let's be patient a little bit. Okay. And then roll candle, we reviewed area. I already forwarded that information to landscape department, so we'll see what will happen. Okay? Thank you. That's a 7B last month. Next month, we'll follow up as well for this month meeting. Now, item 8, CEO report. Shivat, take over, please.
Thank you, President Park. Honorable members of the board, this morning I would like to share key updates from VMS departments. Starting with the 2026 business planning process, which is underway, having started in January with the mutual and GRF committees reviewing capital proposals. The staff is currently developing the proposed budget. In May and June, the boards will review the first version of the budget. In July, version 2 of the budget will be reported to the boards and available for public review. In August, version 3 of the budget is presented via the televised meetings. And final budget adoption is scheduled for the September board meetings. On the screen before you is the budget schedule so far. You will see the presentations and discussions with the 3rd United and GRF committees. On the next slide is a look ahead at the upcoming 3rd specific budget meetings and the budget calendar as a whole. The 3rd maintenance and general service review will take place on Monday, May 19th at 1:30 p.m. The 3rd landscape review on Monday, June 2nd at 1:30 p.m. And the 3rd budget workshop on Monday, June 9th here at 1:30 p.m. All the meetings are here in the boardroom. Switching to security services, security is working to participate in an exciting new initiative, the Orange County Real-Time Operations Center. The RTOC, as it is known, is a state-of-the-art hub where law enforcement analyzes real-time data from multiple sources, and the village will be participating in this. This enhances OCSD's policing strategy, enabling faster, safer, and more effective responses to crimes. The advanced technology provides deputies with real-time intelligence, improving decision-making and prioritizing community and officer safety. The key benefits of participating in the Real-Time Operations Center includes live situational awareness during incidents, faster responses and resource allocation, enhanced investigations of suspects, and vehicle identification. And this may save security force here in the village up to 500 staff hours per year, as the Sheriff's Department will now be able to retrieve video and look at footage rather than having our security staff go through that exercise and provide it to the Sheriff's Department. So that will enhance our ability to serve our community. This will be a phased approach to implementation. Phase 1 will integrate gate cameras with the RTOC. Phase 2 would expand to other high-value surveillance areas identified by the Sheriff's Department. Phase 3 would deploy additional fixed and temporary cameras in crime-prone areas. The impact should improved emergency response coordination and maximize our security efficiency here in the village, taking us away from the office and putting our staff out in the field to a greater extent. In terms of recreation and special events, We want to advise of a Pool 1 emergency closure. On the next slide, please. Pool 1 is currently closed and expected to be reopened by Monday, March 24th. Pools 4, 5, and 6 are currently open. Pool 6 is hosting the children's swim until the Pool 1 reopens. Emeritus classes are on spring break this week. Closure dates are subject to change, so we encourage residents to check the pool schedule available on the website. The Information Systems Department continues to refine the new community website that was launched earlier this fall. We are gathering feedback to enhance usability and accessibility, prioritizing easier service requests, key contacts, and guest registration, and continuing to refine search functionality. Highlights from landscaping services include the Aliso Creek tree trimming, which is underway. It began on March 3rd and will continue over the next few weeks. This essential maintenance in specified areas helps improve community and wildlife safety. Trimming is concentrated in areas with dense coverage near pathways and residential zones, and focuses on reducing fire fuel and minimizing potential coyote habitats. The 2025 Aliso Creek Maintenance Plan is ready. Spring, summer, and winter activities will include removing invasive plants, notably the cattails and other non-native species, for flood control and habitat preservation. I do want to note that the southwestern pond turtle is now a federally threatened species, so this requires stricter monitoring and some additional reporting. On the next slide, please, in terms of slope and tree maintenance, this year we will see increased slope maintenance to 3 cycles per year with additional plantings. There will also be more trees trimmed in 2025 than in previous years. In terms of shrub bed maintenance, Third will have 6 cycles this year, and also we'll be adding a dedicated mowing crew to allow these 6 cycles to happen in terms of shrub bed maintenance. In terms of fire regulation, we are collaborating with OCFA on the new fire regulations expected to be in place later this spring. The annual OCFA inspection occurs this month, so we will be working with the fire department on that. Also, as a reminder, weekly garden clippings pickups are available for our residents by calling resident services or emailing resident services on the Thursday by noon for Friday morning pickup. And then in furtherance of our emergency preparedness efforts, residents are encouraged to have an emergency go bag at the ready. Pack the go bag with essentials for rapid evacuation. On the screen before you are a list of suggested items for that go bag, and this checklist is available on the village website. It includes things such as a portable phone charger, a first aid kit, changes of clothes, battery-powered radios, and so forth. You are encouraged to have the bag ready at all times and easily accessible for a evacuation. Similarly, we encourage residents to also have a stay kit in the event the emergency requires staying put instead of evacuating. And again, we have a checklist available on our website, but this includes 3 days supplies of essentials as a good starting point, including water, medications, flashlights, personal hygiene items, clothing, and so forth. And as a reminder, for pets and our pet owners in the community, you should have an emergency preparedness kit for your pets. Suggested pet emergency kit items include food, water, medications, carriers, veterinarian information, current pet photo, and then on the next slide, emergency contacts, grooming supplies, comfort items, harnesses and leashes, disposable litter box for cats, and so forth. Residents are encouraged to stay informed for emergency information by enrolling in Code Red, the Village Emergency Alert System. You can visit lagunawoodsvillage.com and click Sign Up Today under the Code Red icon at the bottom right-hand corner of any page, or you can also register through the resident portal. Residents are also encouraged to enroll in the Orange County Mass Notification System, Alert OC, and you can do this on the county's website at ocgov.com. And to stay informed about local fires, again, you can always visit the OCFA website or follow the OC Fire Authority on X, formerly Twitter. The Security Department is holding a bicycle registration day on Friday, March 21st at Clubhouse 4 from 10 a.m. to noon. Residents are encouraged to bring their bicycles to the event to keep their properties safe from thieves. Security services will take a photo of the bike and the serial number and keep that information in the department's database. Residents may also sign up using the registration form on the website and email it to security. Lastly, free tax preparation services are available. This is an IRS certified service that is operated here in the village for more than 25 years under the Volunteer Tax Assistance Initiative. 1,200 residents were served last year. Appointments are Tuesday through Thursday in the community center on the 3rd floor. Information and scheduling is through the PC Club, and you can email them at thepcclub.org or taxes@thepcclub.org, and leave a voicemail at 949-391-9718 for assistance. And that concludes my update this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Question, a bicycle, the electrical motor bicycle also included in that?
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you. Thank you. Okay, any question? No? Okay. Yes.
It's not a question, but we have time to time, we have a problem with the gate clear, the broken gate, and we have to use the ID, and it make a lot of inconvenience. It happened time to time, so many different gates. Right now, gate 14, and another time was gate 7 or that. Is there any way BMS or even the GRF has any study or any plan how it happened and how we can prevent it?
Generally, it's caused by vehicles running into the gate arm. They don't wait a sufficient amount of time for the arms to raise before they proceed through the gates, and that is a user matter. Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Siobhan, weren't the gates designed to have them pop off when they're hit so they could be easily reattached?
Yes,
That's what
and
it
we
is.
have trained our security staff to make those immediate repairs should that be what happens. Oftentimes, however, motors are damaged or other parts that are not readily fixed by our staff.
Okay, and just to share another piece of information related to that, if it's not just the arm, if it's the contraption the arm is attached to, we don't keep any of those in reserve. And the reason we don't keep any of those in reserve is that once we receive it from the manufacturer, the warranty starts immediately when we receive it. So if we don't install it for 6 months, that warranty now has already run out on that piece of equipment. And given the cost of that equipment, it doesn't make any sense to have it without a warranty. So that's why they don't keep any in stock.
Okay.
I think we discussed this issue in the MSC. The decision was that we need a backup. And you said it's correct that the warranty starts from time we buy it. We also discussed about probably we buy a new unit and replace one of the older unit and repair them and keep them in shop when there is no warranty. And we always have at least one unit in the shop available, because I remember gate 10, it took about 3 months or something to get a new parts. And if that's how we approach it. I don't know how the VMS now looking at it. Is that going to happen? Are we going to get one and look at one of the old one and replace it and then maintain it?
That is the discussion that's ongoing. We're taking a kind of an inventory of what pieces have been damaged to see if it's just part specific or if we need a whole component.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
The discussion is how we can repair, but what I think is we may have to concentrate on how we can prevent it that happen. Is there any way we can, the sensor to move up forward and then the gate will be open much earlier before it get hit?
It's a balancing act between security. How long do you want the arm to stay up and let other cars free flow through? And then also where the placement of where the sensor is can impact other gates if it's too far back. It can send the signal to the guest arm, for instance. So it's a balancing act.
We also talked about the protection of the unit itself, not the arm, because that's the main part, because when it was hit, we couldn't get the parts. It comes overseas. So we talk about putting posts around it and make sure that when they hit, it's only, damage the arm, not the whole unit, and hopefully we can take care of the unit. But people come late at night, and this is the 55-plus community, and we might hit something.
That's right. Plus trucks coming in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, any more question? No? Okay, let's move to consent calendar. To save time, I'd like to make one motion to accept all the consent calendar A, B, C, D, E.
I second.
Okay, good. So any more changes you want to make? No? Okay, it's accepted as a unanimous consent. Good. Now, item 10, unfinished business. Number 8 is entertain a motion to approve revision to standard 4 air conditioning unit. It's been 28 days satisfied. So,
Okay.
Steve, would you read the
Sure.
first one?
Resolution 03-25-XX. Revised Standard 4, that being heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. Whereas the third Laguna Hills Mutual recognizes a need to amend standards and create new standards as necessary, and whereas the Mutual recognizes a need to revise Standard 4, that is air conditioning units / heat pumps. Now therefore be it resolved March 18th, 2025, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts resolution and amendments to Standard 4, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning as attached to the official meeting minutes, and resolve further that the Resolution 03-23-68, adopted March 21st, 2023, is hereby suspended and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. And the 28-day notification has been satisfied.
Good, thank you. Any motion? So moved. Okay, and a second? Okay. You got it. Any question, any discussion? I didn't hear anything. So this is the resolution triggered by Traceway on some manners, and it's extended out too far, too much. So if there's no question, let's vote it.
In favor?
In favor? One more. Oh. Peg's not here. Okay, good. So the resolution is passed 9-0. Okay, next item is B, entertain motion to approve the revision to standard 11A, interior hard surface flooring rules. It's also been 28 days satisfied. So Steve, would you read it?
Resolution 03-25-XX. Revised Standard 11A, interior flooring for second and third floor manners. Whereas the Third Laguna Hills Mutual recognizes the need to amend standards and create new standards as necessary, and whereas the Mutual recognizes the need to revise Standard 11A, interior hard surface flooring. Now therefore be it resolved April 15th that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby adopts revision and amendments to Standard 11A, interior flooring of second and third floor manners as attached to the official meeting minutes, and resolve further that the resolution 03-10-188 adopted December 21st, 2010 is hereby superseded and canceled. Resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. And I think that we need to change that April 15th.
No, so this is on 28 days. So although you guys did receive it initially in February, because it received revisions, we're bringing it back for 28
Okay.
days. So if you guys approve it today, it'll be finalized in April.
And it's on 28-day postponement.
Yes, so it says on their February initial notification, revised March. So that's why it has the April 2025 date.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So then, do we need to vote on this one? Okay, any motion?
I'll move to put on the 28-day calendar.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Any question? No? Okay, let's vote on it then.
Director Wayne, can you submit your vote?
Okay. Good, 9-0, so motion passed. Okay, item C, entertain a motion to approve the session to interior hard surface flooring complaint rules. This also, the 28 notification has been satisfied.
No, it hasn't been. We're
Hasn't
bringing
been-
it back.
Bring it back,
Yeah.
so would you read?
Sure.
Steve?
Resolution 03-25-XX. Rescind Third Laguna Hills Mutual interior hard surface flooring compliant rules, excuse me. Whereas the Third Laguna Hills Mutual recognizes the need to review rules as necessary, and whereas the Mutual recently received the language in Standard 11A flooring for second and third floor manners to incorporate the process currently contained in Third Laguna Hills Mutual interior hard surface flooring compliant rules. Now therefore be it resolved, April 15th, 2025, that the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby rescinds Third Laguna Hills Mutual interior hard surface flooring compliant rules as attached to the official meeting minutes, and resolve further that Resolution 03-13-85, approved August 20th, 2013, is hereby superseded and canceled. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution as written. And this is now on a 28-day postponement to comply with Civil Code 4360.
Okay, any motion? So moved. Robert, a second is Donna? Yes,
There is a speaker for this item.
okay.
It would be Stuart Hack.
That was a placeholder. If you were going to talk about it, I wanted to be able to have the ability to comment on it. That was all. Thank you.
Oh, okay. That's quick. Okay, so any question or discussion about this resolution? No? Okay, I don't see anything, so let's vote. Okay, 9-0, the motion passed. Now, excuse me, item 11, new business. First, this is 28 notification for member review and comments to comply with the Civil Code 4360. A, entertain motion to reduce the leasing cap from 30% to 25%. Steve, would you
Okay.
read, please?
Resolution 03-25-XX, reduce leasing cap to 25%. Whereas on April 21st, 2020, the board adopted a resolution 03-20-26, which established that a maximum of 30% of the units may be leased at any given time. That is the leasing cap. In addition to adopting the waiting list procedures once the leasing cap is reached. And whereas lowering the leasing cap might help maintain or increase property values by signaling stability and reduce concerns about short-term tenants. Now therefore be it resolved, April 15th, 2025, that the Board of Directors hereby approves to decrease the leasing cap from 30% to 25% effective May 1st, 2025, and resolve further that by reducing the leasing cap to 25%, those who purchased their unit prior to the adoption of the 25% cap would be grandfathered in and will not be subject to the restriction until another owner acquires a separate interest. However, members who purchased after the adoption would not be permitted to lease their units until the current leasing percentage dips below 25% or 1,526 units, and resolve further that if the leasing percentage reaches below 25%, then the waiting list can be reestablished, and resolve further that the real estate community will be informed that effective May 1st, 2025, no sales will be approved for the purpose of leasing out the unit for investment purposes, and resolve further the Resolution 03-20-26 adopted April 21st, 2020 is hereby amended and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. It is on a 25-day postponement to comply with Civil Code 4360.
Okay, any motion?
I'll move.
Okay, Robert moved and Moon second.
I have a comment.
Yes.
Where it says that the waiting list going to be established, I think it means that waiting list going to be activated.
Activated, right.
Because it says established. We should have established waiting list.
it says reestablished.
Reestablished.
What it means reestablish? I think or activated, because we're going to establish during that process a waiting list,
No.
and then we just activate it when it goes below 25.
So the idea for staff is to, when we get to that point, the waiting list will be an internal process that we'll manage ourselves. And that way,
But you
there's
keep-
less complicated. And we will establish that, correct?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure that
Okay.
it's not that we don't have a waiting list. Anybody buy with understanding that they cannot lease it, they got to be on the waiting list. When it goes below 25, that list going to be activated, and then whatever that they're on that list.
Yes, Ruth?
My only question is since it's effective May 1st, are we going to have a problem with people that are in the process of purchasing?
Anyone who's currently in escrow will not fall under this. They'll be able to complete their purchase. So
Okay.
that's what we do with if they open escrow the day before May 1st, we have to honor that escrow date.
Okay, thank you.
Robert?
No, that was my question.
Hit the nail, huh? The internal list, that can be accessed by any other people, or only it's privileged information.
It'll only be for internal use.
So nobody can access it. The
No, we
list-
don't want to have a wait list public, so it's an administrative process.
Okay.
I do now have a question.
Yes, sir.
How will the real estate community be notified?
A bulletin will be sent out once this is approved.
And you have a list of all the real
Yes,
estate
we have
agents?
about 800 realtors that we
Wow.
All
send.
right, just want to
Yeah.
make sure that it's properly promulgated.
Yeah, we do bulletins every month to the realtor community.
Oh, I
Any
see.
changes and anything we do, they're updated every month.
We have 800 agencies?
We have 800 emails
Agent.
on a list, whether they get them or not, most of
Wow.
them do. So, yeah, there's a lot of realtors that do business in the village.
Wow, okay, thank you. Any more question? No? I didn't hear any, so let's vote. Oh, already done? 9-0. That's quick. It's a motion passed. Thank you. Now, item B, entertain motion to approve proposed amendment to financial qualification policy. It is also 28-day notification. Steve, would you please?
Okay, Resolution 03-25-XX, Financial Qualifications Policy. Whereas Third Laguna Hills Mutual desires to protect and preserve the financial integrity of the corporation and ensure consistency among the provisions of its governing documents, and whereas it is in the best interest of the corporation to revise its financial qualifications policy to, number one, allow applicants' income and assets to be calculated collectively when there is more than one applicant. This will permit individuals to collectively qualify as well as permit children to purchase a unit with their parents so the parents can reside in the unit as members instead of lessees. Number two, permit prospective members and the guarantors to submit from the nationally recognized credit reporting agency such as Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, a full credit report if FICO score is less than 700 or FICO score is 700 or higher with an outside mortgage. Submit a credit summary report if FICO score is 700 or higher without an outside mortgage. These reports must be dated within 60 days prior to the application submittal. Now therefore be it resolved, April 15th, 2025, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby amends this financial qualifications policy as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further that the resale package that references the need for a credit report shall be revised accordingly, and all qualified individuals, including parents and children's names, shall be placed on their respective deeds to be consistent with owners of a separate interest, and resolve further that said adjustments shall be effective upon approval, and information shall be disseminated to the real estate community, and resolve further that Resolution 03-24-77 adopted July 16th, 2024 is hereby superseded and canceled, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of this corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution.
That too.
And this is on a 28-day postponement to comply with Civil Code 4360.
Okay, Robert moved. Second, Ruth. Okay. Any question or comments?
Yeah, the policy committee wrestled with this for quite a while and feels that it actually will help when it works in parallel with the previous motion of reducing the lease cap from 30% to 25%, because under the new system, those individuals, adult children who have purchased a unit for their parents, that's now considered a lease to the parents. By doing this resolution, those will the new ones will no longer be considered a lease, and therefore will not address the lease cap.
Okay.
So that's why we support it.
Any more comments or questions regarding this? Without anything, let's vote. Oh, 9-0, already passed. Motion passed, thank you. And item C, entertain motion to approve.
Thanks, Jeff.
Entertain a motion to approve revision of Resolution 03-1975 to recognize the Third Water Conservation Subcommittee Charter as a standing committee. Okay, do we need read this?
Yeah, resolution.
As well? Resolution? Yes, please.
Okay, Resolution 03-25-XX, Water Conservation Committee Charter.
whereas on July 16th, 2019, the board adopted Resolution 03-19-75 that pursuant to Article 7, Section 1 of the bylaws, a Water Resource Committee was established as subcommittee for this corporation. And whereas this committee charter is intended to provide general oversight and recommendations to ensure the efficient management of water resources in Third Laguna Woods Mutual and the interest of all its members. And whereas this charter is being adopted by the third board to recognize the third Water Conservation Subcommittee as a standing committee. And whereas on March 6, 2025, the Landscape Committee approved the recommendation to update the current committee charter. And now therefore be it resolved, March 18, 2025, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby approves the updated charter of the Water Conservation Committee as attached to the official minutes of this meeting, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution.
Any motion? Donna?
I definitely, as chair of the Water Conservation Committee, I
second.
definitely move approval.
Okay. So,
I second that.
okay, Reg, a second.
And in terms of a comment?
Yeah,
Since
as
it's second.
as far as comments, any
I-
comments?
yes.
Or- Yes.
Yeah, I want to thank the board. I want to thank residents who supported our doing this. A full committee gives us a certain amount of not just stature or status, but we now have 5 members on the committee instead of only 3 when you have a subcommittee. Water conservation is so important, and just to remind everybody, and we always need to be reminded of this, we have virtually no source of regular supply of potable water within the area that we have within this area. And we import virtually 100% of all of our potable water. It's expensive, and it's not, the supply is not always reliable. So it's something we really have to think about all the time, and therefore, thank you to everybody who supported this.
Thank you. Any more comment or question?
I move we vote.
Okay, let's vote. One more. Yes, motion passed. Thank you, board. Now, next item is item D, motion to rescind a directive to remove decorative architectural round wood element, so-called Vegas, during prior to paint program for remaining buildings. So we are rescinding the prior board request to remove the Vegas.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have problem with this resolution. On the one to the last paragraph, resolve further, said the Board of Directors hereby approves the restoration of the decorative wood elements with new marine grade treated wood Vegas on the building that previously had Vegas removed. We didn't do that. We only talk about the building that have Vegas, and then during the paint program, we're going to install the marine treated one, not the one that have been removed in the past. So this resolution had problem.
Okay. Any?
We
Okay.
did, staff did notice it, and we reached out to the Maintenance and Construction Department, and they confirmed that this wasn't acknowledged at the committee, but if on the staff report, it is a recommendation from staff. On there, I think it's the second bullet or number on there under recommendations, so they added that into the resolution as well.
Are you satisfied with the?
You're saying, so it comes from.
No,
the
I'm
staff-
confused.
the staff- You're saying the staff recommends that?
Yes, it's a staff recommendation that wasn't
That
brought
as
to
they
the
go
committee.
around and do the paint on those older buildings that had the vigas removed, they'll use the marine grade to reinstall the vigas as they're doing the paint cycle.
And that not what we approved.
Next to pay cycle, he's
No,
talking.
we did not
Yeah.
approve the building that already have the Vegas removed. we said that they're gonna stay as is. The only building that they're gonna replace the Vegas are the 21 of them left, or 14 of them, that have Vegas on it. And we decided those Vegas we're gonna not touch, and we're gonna put with marine. The one that already done, we are not gonna touch.
Yes, now,
Anyway.
Mr. Gomez?
Yes, thank you, members of the board. I appreciate the opportunity to provide some clarification. It's not unrealistic to understand there might be some confusion. At the M&C committee, when this item was discussed, there were several motions made. Some passed, some didn't. We went back and reviewed the video of the meeting and recorded accurately what was voted on. So in the meeting, the only item that the committee voted on was to rescind the directive to remove them. There was no motion made, and there was no formal action taken as to what to do with the buildings that either are remaining or had previously been removed. There was discussion, but there was no motion made. Therefore, we're bringing this before the full board. You can, staff's recommendation is, as stated in the staff report, that those buildings that had the Vegas removed over the last 10 years, that they be restored as part of the paint program. When the next time we get to that building, whether it be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 15 years from now, at that time, we're recommending that the building be restored to its original architectural design. That's not the committee's recommendation. The committee didn't make a formal action. They discussed it, but they took no formal action. And if you can review the minutes that were of the meeting. So we're making that recommendation as a staff level. The board can decide to do something different, or you can accept the staff recommendation for that.
Okay, yes, you,
Mr. Gomez, I think as I understand, okay, whatever it has been done, we are not gonna touch that. Okay, that was the committee consensus. If we didn't make any motion, that was committee consensus. Whatever we decided was looking forward, whatever forward, we are not gonna cut it anymore. That was our consensus, and that's what I thought. I vote on it.
right,
Thank you.
okay.
So, if there is any confusion, I recommend we send back to the committee. If the staff are confused, we're going to make sure that the recommendation is proper. If this board doesn't want to do that, then you guys decide what you want to do.
Okay, so Steve,
My recommendation would be to table it then and send it back to committee.
Yeah.
That's two
Okay,
different
let's make a
motions.
motion.
Yeah, table is one motion, send it back to
Okay.
committee is a different
yeah,
motion.
I think we should
So
send that.
I think you want to send it back to
Send it
committee,
back to
because if you table it, it comes up next meeting automatically.
Okay, yes,
Okay, I make a motion, this be sent back to the committee.
okay, who's the second?
I'll second it.
I'll
Okay.
second that. Let me-
There's a second, and,
I'll just make a comment.
yes, please.
As I remember the discussion about it, I think I was the only one who wanted to use the marine grade to reinstall on the ones that had been removed. I think that most of the people were opposed to that. I think I was by myself.
No,
Okay.
I was with you.
You were with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yes, Don.
Yeah, I just have a question. Do we even have the old Vegas somewhere, or is this starting from scratch and having to obtain some that would match the
I was
architecture?
taking them out of the new marine grade. plot.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't
So
know
we'd have-
whether we restored,
They would have
maybe
the same
Mr.
look.
Gomez.
Yeah.
The whole
We're
discussion was that.
we're of course happy to take this back to committee. You have all 5 committee members here. Sounds like 3 of them are moving one direction, but if you want to take this back to committee, we're happy to do that.
Okay, good.
No, the whole thing is that we talked about it, we spent a whole lot of money to remove him, now we're gonna have to spend a whole lot of money to put him back on. That sounds crazy. I mean, we
Yeah.
cannot just keep spending money to remove it, put it back on. 81 buildings have been removed long time, over the last 10 years. And now we're gonna go back and put these Vegas back on. It doesn't make sense. I mean, the finance guy sitting there is shaking his head. It doesn't make sense.
Okay.
I mean, the building that are,
Comments?
to have
Member
Vegas, we're gonna try
Member
to save
comments?
it, that's all.
Yes, Howard.
we're talking about a cost that's 15 years from now?
Just want to make sure they
Over 15 years.
Yeah. So put them back?
Yeah.
I have no comment.
Okay, good, thank you. Okay, yes.
If the staff is not confused with what we had discussed here, our consensus, okay, for the sake of the speedy, and a lot of people are waiting for this decision. So I'd like to make, that, but if staff is confused, we don't want staff get confused. We want to bring it back to the committee and get it done completely and then send it back to you.
Okay, no, she's first, she raised her hand. Yes, please, can she make a comment?
Yeah, so she is a commenter, and then I have a handful of residents who emailed in who all requested for me to read their emails today.
Okay.
And I emailed them back letting them know I would.
Okay,
So we'll
yes.
start with Gloria.
Okay, I won't, the only thing I'm going to ask right now, and I can comment later, is just, since you did vote to rescind the existing prior to paint, all I'm going to ask is, could we, as Director Young said, could we just vote that says that, yes, the prior to paint portion is rescinded today, that rescinding is approved by the board, so that everybody who lives in one of these units that is concerned about the Vigas being removed, we know that when they come up, and many of them are due to be painted next year, when they come up for repainting next year, they will not be removed. Then you can send back to committee what the recommendation is moving forward on any other of the buildings. And I agree with Reza that the consensus was that we weren't going to do that. The financial obligation was just too much. But I would like to ask that, since we've been working on this for a while, that we validate the vote that was taken, that the prior to paint policy is rescinded.
Okay, thank you. And Carlos, you had a comment?
Just briefly, for the record, I know a couple of people commented that staff was confused and that's why it should go back to committee.
Okay.
I don't know that's the case. There's maybe confusion that occurred at the committee level, so if you want to send it back for clarification for committee, I think that's fine. But I think staff did their due diligence in reviewing the video and accurately depicting what took place and then making their own recommendation.
Okay.
Thank you.
So committee will review it then. Right?
Just a comment to respond to the young lady. If it goes back to committee, it'll come back in the next month or so, long before there's any issue of paint for next year or scheduling of painting for next year and removal of Vigas for next year. So you don't have to be concerned that if we don't approve it today, that will not be an issue for you for next year.
Okay.
But it was voted on.
But I hear you, I understand what you're saying, but we want to send the whole thing back to committee.
Okay, so do we need to vote on?
If it's
No,
okay
she's
for
got
me to
other-
read
other-
the emails.
Oh, send it back or not?
Okay, sorry.
I'll read the emails and then you guys can
Okay.
proceed with your vote.
That's fine.
Okay, first email is from Joy Yu, and she said, I'm a realtor and resident of Laguna Woods Village. Recently, I sold Villanova model. It is certain that looks elegant and embraces the cozy and nostalgic vibes of cottagecore trend with warmth and simplicity and has a timeless beauty. We respectfully request you reconsider the removal of the Vigas from Villanova and you explore a durable alternative material, faux Vigas that requires less maintenance for this stunning piece of architecture. From Jay Lessie, they said, Dear Board, my name is Jay Lessie and I live in Villanova home at 3024D, as in dog. At the February and March Maintenance and Construction Committee meetings I had and other members requested that the Vigas on the Villanova models be saved. We presented photos of this tasteful Southwestern Santa Fe style architecture with the Vigas intact. We contrasted this with photos of Villanovas where the Vigas were removed, turning them into stucco boxes. I present three photos of these for your review. Staff carefully researched alternatives to protect the architectural Vigas and came up with a good solid plan to replace Vigas as needed with durable material. Staff is recommending that you rescind the prior to eliminate Vegas and save those Vegas that remain. Members gave public comment at the last 2 MNC meetings and today before the board. More members would comment, but the prior plan to remove Vegas was never announced to us. We bought our homes based on the Southwest design and the Vegas. Please retain the architectural integrity and curb appeal and our property's values. From Sharon and Rick Geeham, they said, "Dear board members, please support the decision of the Maintenance and Construction Committee and the request from residents and vote to keep the Vegas. It is very important to us to keep the historic and architectural character of our community by allowing the Vegas to stay. Please let us keep the beauty of our buildings and that we greatly enjoy." From Paula Hawley, "I am sorry that I'm unable to attend the meeting. Therefore, I'm submitting my comments for inclusion into the meeting agenda. I would like to have the Vegas protected as this architecture of our Southwest style homes. I bought my home in 1999 because of that look. Removing the Vegas altogether will return our buildings into something that we buy, purchase stucco boxes. If the feeling is that Vegas are deteriorating, which with my keen eye they are not, they passed the termite testing that was done a few years ago. However, if this has changed, and in order to keep the Southwest style, please replace them with maintenance-free faux Vegas. These are readily available and cost-effective. Still, I would rather keep the originals." We have just a few more. From Carol Moore, "Dear President Park and directors of 3rd Laguna Hills Mutual, maintaining integrity and appropriate decorative practices are critical to our community standards. It long has been substantiated the Vegas are important and were part of our original design. We live in an older community, therefore any shortcuts only contribute to further architectural dating and degradation. Please support the continued use of Vegas were originally designed. Thank you for caring about our community by serving on the board and voting to continue best architectural design practices." From Rochelle Mandel and Gordon Worstel, "We, the residents who live in and own and or rent the floor plan called Villanova, emphatically want to keep our Vegas. We understand and accept that replacement Vegas be faux Vega if wood is unavailable. The Vegas can't contribute significantly to our property values and to our neighborhood feel and ambiance. Thankfully, our considerate and proactive neighbors alerted us to this issue. We emphatically reject the notion that a decision of abandoning or keeping our Vegas is not proactively aired and shared by the boards with the most important stakeholders, the resident Villanova owners themselves. We believe it is incumbent on the governing boards to notify the most affected residents to inform of this potential disastrous decision and provide opportunities for these stakeholders to weigh in on this important topic. Please understand, we resident owners want to keep our Vegas. Please ensure that your vote supports and respects our very clear support of keeping our Vegas." I believe there's just 2 more. "My name is Roger Hoover from 3024D. You can't cut off the architecturally defining element of a building and still call it the same building. In my case, I bought a Villanova in 2010 because of its Southwest style, which includes Vegas. To remove the Vegas turns it into a bland box, devoid of any architectural significance, an eyesore. Vegas can easily be maintained and will not leak if done properly. VMS staff, with the help of Manuel Gomez and Mr. Feliz, who knows architectural restoration, came up with a simple solution, which is to replace only those Vegas that decay, and to do so with specially treated wood. Please do not change and downgrade the appearance of our condos. I respectfully urge you to keep our Vegas. I worked hard for a lifetime to arrive at this point and to have a beautiful home. Please don't make me live out the rest of my days in a stucco box." And the final email is from Brian May. They said, "My name is Brian May and my wife Barbara K. May, and I own Villanova Condo 3038C, which currently excludes exterior Vegas. The original legacy designers of Vegas properties were based upon the Santa Fe, New Mexico properties, which my wife and I visited several times. As I understand, a suggestion has been submitted to the third board to remove all Vegas, which I do not agree with for the following reasons. 1, Vegas removal violates the vision of the original legacy designers. The Santa Fe Vegas design includes darker exterior paint than the stucco, highlighting the vision of the original legacy designers. Vegas external removal will be labor intensive and costly, requiring the following some or all of these steps. Vegas removal cannot avoid damage to the stucco, which will require patching. Stucco patch will require paint touch-up. Unfortunately, the existing external stucco paint will have faded and touch-up paint will probably not match. Therefore, the entire exterior paint may require repaint. In conclusion, removal of the Vegas includes unnecessary risks and dilutes the highlighting benefits of the darker exterior paint. Unfortunately, I'm unable to attend the third board meeting today, so please consider my comments before approving Vegas removal. Brian May. And that is all the emails we have.
Okay, thank you. Wow.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I take kind of resentment saying that, staff is correct. Because this thing that's happening over many years, that removing Vegas. What was the recommendation? Why we didn't stop it? Why we remove 80 of them, and now we're coming back and saying don't remove anymore? This is waste. I'm having problem with that we make a decision with most of the building have been removed. Now we're coming back and saying, stop it, let's put it back on. What happened? This is what I have problem with. And that is not the way we should operate. We should be more, careful about when we're making decision and not wasting money and coming back and said, well, put it back on. That doesn't make sense to me. And that's why I'm a little bit upset.
Okay. Yes, Steve.
I was there when Ernesto brought this up and we voted on it. The main reason for this was the Vegas were considered to be a drawing factor for dry rot that would take dry rot back into the building itself. And there was no replacement material available at that time that he thought was comparable and acceptable. So that's why it started.
Okay, well, we did it. And why we want to put it back?
Okay. Any more comments?
There's acceptable material now.
We have two things.
Doesn't make
Two things.
sense.
We have a motion on the floor to
Yes.
send this back to committee.
Right.
Given the fact that we have the whole board, we've heard all this discussion and everything else, what if you withdraw your motion and we just vote on the resolution as it exists in toto? If it gets voted down, then it would automatically go back to committee would go back to the drawing board anyhow. If it gets approved, then we're done.
Okay, on your recommendation, I withdraw my motion then.
Okay.
Then I'll make a motion to approve this as it exists.
I haven't read it yet.
Well, go ahead and read it.
Can I also remind the board that this is on 28-day notice?
Yes.
So
Right.
it will be brought back again. So if
Right.
there are any changes in between now and the next board meeting, that can occur.
Right.
Okay.
That's why I want to vote on this.
Okay. So,
I need to read it.
Yes.
yes, please.
Resolution 03-25-XX, decorative architectural round wood elements, better known as vigas. Whereas in June 2016, the Board of Directors discussed dry rot concerns associated with the decorative 5-inch round wood post called vegas that protrude through the stucco and directed staff to provide solutions to the Maintenance Construction Committee. And whereas in September 2016, the Maintenance and Construction Committee directed staff to discontinue the replacement of the wood elements and infill with stucco as a mitigation solution during the prior to paint program. And whereas there has been an interest from members in the community in preserving and restoring the character-defined features of the building structures, and whereas on March 3rd, 2025, the Maintenance and Construction Committee voted to recommend that the Board of Directors rescind the 2016 directive, and whereas staff is seeking direction from the Board of Directors on the restoration of buildings that had vigas removed. Now therefore be it resolved on March 18th, 2025, the Board of Directors of this corporation hereby rescinds the directive to remove the decorative architectural round wood elements during the prior to paint program. And resolve further, the Board of Directors hereby approves the restoration of the decorative wood elements with new marine grade treated wood vigas on buildings that previously had vigas removed. The restoration to be done as part of the future exterior paint program work. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out the purpose of this resolution. It is now on 28-day review.
Okay,
Also move.
okay. Robert moved. Who's second?
I'll second.
Okay, Steve second.
Well,
Any-
this is not, that
Yeah, for the
paragraph next to
discussion.
the last is not the wishes of the, this is staff recommendation, not the committee recommendation.
Okay.
So you want to, based on that, then, that's all power to you.
Okay. So, yes.
Yeah, when you look at, for the discussion, when you look at the 1, 2, 3, third, the preserving and the restoring has a problem. If it is, we have to restore.
Yeah.
Okay, and then also, staff is seeking directive. And then they said the restoring of a building. So what it, as written is we are asking them to restore. It's against what the Reza say, what I voted for.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as it is, I'm not gonna vote of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I understand that. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand that.
Let's vote it.
Yeah,
I'm
let's
gonna
vote it.
Let's
Yeah.
vote.
Yeah,
If it
let's
pass,
vote it.
pass.
Yeah. Okay, let's vote.
And just to clarify, because there was so much discussion, if the board is in favor of the remaining buildings
Yeah.
keeping their Vegas, that's the part I think that's so confusing, and we have folks concerned in the audience. If the board is in favor of those remaining buildings, keeping them because we now can with materials, then we would have to vote no on this.
Yes.
I
Yes.
just want to make sure that,
Yes.
and that doesn't mean we're not going to keep them. It means because there's another part in there that says all the other ones are going to be restored, we would be voting for something.
Get a new
There's two
resolution.
parts.
Yes.
So,
We need a new resolution.
yeah, so I just want to make sure that
Yes.
both I as a board member and all of us, and those who are watching or listening, understand that because there are two parts, a no vote doesn't mean both parts are a problem. It might only be one.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
You're
Okay.
right.
Yeah, continue. Yeah, we can't go back and forth. Let's vote, please.
Two missing.
Yeah, that's done.
So vote it
Okay.
down.
Yes, 3, no, 6. So this resolution is voted out, not passed. Thank you.
Now, I would like to make a motion to send this back to the M&C committee for further discussion.
second.
A second? Yes. Any discussion and further?
No, I think it automatically goes back.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
It
it's
automatically goes
automatically,
back.
then we don't need any more.
Because it's
Okay.
not valid anymore.
All right, yeah, you're right.
No,
So
it can be moved. You
you're
have
right,
to
it's
make
got to
a
be
motion.
voted back to committee. Yeah.
Okay, so since we don't have any question? No? Let's vote it on. Say aye. All in
Aye.
favor? Yes. Unanimous. Send it back to MNC committee. Okay, item E. Entertain motion to approve 2025 Inspector of Election Service. Steve, could you read it?
Resolution 03-25-XX, approve Inspector of Election Services. Whereas Civil Code 5110 requires an association to select an independent third party or parties as an inspector of elections, and whereas in accordance with Civil Code 5110 and 5115 and 5120 and 5125, the Inspector of Elections performs several tasks during the election, including but not limited to print and mail voter packages, inspect and tabulate ballots, and certify results. Now therefore be it resolved, March 18th, 2025, that due to Unelect Corporation's agreement to conform to the criteria established in the specifications as Inspector of Election and its familiarity with the community, the Board of Directors of 3rd Laguna Hills Mutual hereby approves Unelect Corporation to perform Inspector of Election services for for the 2025 election of directors, and resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are directed on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution.
Any motion?
So moved.
Robert moved, and second? Moon second. Any discussion regarding this election pick? Okay, no. So let's vote.
Robert, vote. He goes out. Oh, he did.
Oh, you already voted. Okay. Oh, we did one more.
Who did? Peggy.
Craig. Say yes or no.
It's got no.
Oh, good. Now it's 9-0. So yes 9, no 0. So motion passed. Now next item is I do not believe we need to read the resolution, right? Am I correct? Paul, next two items.
Resolutions, they're read in.
I believe these were pulled off the consent calendar initially. That's correct.
If you want, I could read them, if Steve needs a break from reading resolutions.
I can continue reading.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
Steve can continue reading.
Okay.
So next item is approve landscape alteration request for artificial turf located at 5042 Avena del Sol. Steve, please.
Okay, Resolution 03-25-XX. Approve the request to install artificial turf at 5042 Avenida del Sol. Whereas on March 6, 2025, the Landscape Committee reviewed an alteration request from the member at 5042 for the removal of existing turf and installation of artificial turf for the area in the front, sides, and back of the unit at their expense. And whereas the committee recommends approving the request for the installation of artificial turf at the member's expense located at 5042 Avenida del Sol, and whereas the resident must follow Resolution 03-24-110 artificial turf guidelines and standards. Now therefore be it resolved, March 18th, 2025, the Board of Directors approved the request to install artificial turf at 5042, and resolved further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution.
Any motion?
I'll move.
Okay, Robert moved. Who's second? Steve second.
Yeah.
Any discussion regarding the artificial turf? 5042.
I guess I'm not on the landscape committee,
Yes.
and I don't know much about artificial turf. I do know that there's artificial turf at the dog park, okay? And that the artificial turf, because of the way it's structured, my observation, and I don't know that this is the case with, I guess Kurt can speak to it, the drainage system doesn't work, and the smell from dogs over a period of time on artificial turf is just absolutely awful.
Okay.
So given that, I mean, that people will be walking by with their animals, how would this turf be different from the kind of, grass turf that we currently have?
Yes, Kurt, could you answer, please?
Morning. Still morning.
Yeah.
I understand Director Muchnick's concerns. The dog park gets a volume of animal feces and urine that you wouldn't see on your neighborhood unless you have dozens of dogs there all day, every day. There are ways around, if that issue does present itself, there are products designed for that. Whether or not the city is actually using them at the dog park, my municipal history is we did use products that did do away with the smell. We've had a lot of success in public areas, non-dog park public areas with artificial turf. It has its upsides and it has its downsides. But I think what your concern is here as far as a residential property is misplaced. I don't think you will have the dog urine smell. Rain washes it away, the mist washes it away. I don't think you'll have the issues here as you would at a dog park.
Okay. Any more question? Yes.
I just have a thought for us as we proceed with the voting, and that is that there are some concerns in areas about artificial turf that have more to do with drainage, not smells from animals, but actually potential problems. And so it does say in this particular resolution that it's in compliance with our policies. Those policies may change as artificial turf becomes more developed, as we recognize more of the problems, because I am very concerned, and the landscape department is concerned, the landscape folks are concerned, that we don't do anything to harm trees, that we make sure there's enough drainage for them. So given the fact that this particular case that's been presented of two homes next to each other with a very skinny area in between that's very difficult to maintain and is watered with potable water, so we're wasting a lot of water on some area that won't do well. And given the fact that built into this is they must follow procedure, and obviously anyone else would, and that if there are problems, that will have to be resolved. I mean, that is part of this. So because of that, I'm okay with voting for it, but it's very concerning as we move forward.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Once this is installed, who's responsible for maintaining it?
The resident.
Residents.
Yeah.
It's an alteration, isn't it?
It's alteration.
It's an alteration.
Okay.
And to save you guys time, the next item is the same exact thing as their neighbor.
Right.
They're going to work together to put this in, and we are requiring drip lines for the trees also for this.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, I understand that the members are responsible. What are the guidelines? What are the things that we can tell the members that they haven't maintained? Do we have a guideline for the members that what they need to do in order to maintain that?
Yes, it's in the resolution that's referenced. in
No,
here.
it's,
32410.
I know, I'm looking at it.
We have a fair amount of artificial turf already.
No.
Yeah.
The guideline for maintaining it,
I'm-
what are the things that they have to do? If somebody come and complain about the turf, that is problem here, what we need to do? Because we have to deal with it, as, landscape committee have to deal with it.
Yes.
Or M&C have to deal with it. Do we have a guideline for maintenance of the thing, what we're requiring them to do? Other than that, if somebody complain about the status of that piece of thing in front of somebody's building, how we're gonna, deal with it? What we have to do? What is our guideline?
It says on the bottom of financial analysis, the last sentence, however, Third Mutual retains the right to require removal or modification if the installation is found to be non-compliant or adversely affects community landscaping.
Installation. We're talking about maintenance.
And taking it out.
The cleaning and maintenance.
It's okay. If everyone is happy with,
No, it says
I
removal.
usually want to make sure that when somebody complain after the installation, a year from there, that somebody says, this stinks here, what is our guideline? What we need to do? We just tell them to take it out and put the new grass in there? What we,
Well,
I just want to make sure that we have roadmap.
Okay.
That's all.
we do have standard of care at the bottom of this resolution, which includes cleaning and maintenance, animal waste, debris removal, and warranty.
Okay. Yes, please.
It's a member's responsibility to take care of something. We cannot say, these are the products you have to use to mitigate the situation. It's up to them to research out and mitigate the situation.
Yes.
The other, looking at the care and standards, it says under 3, animal waste, frequently remove animal waste and wash the area. They're going to wash the area with potable water. So they could wash the area every day, get out there with every day with a hose and hose it down, and in one sense defeat the purpose of what we are trying to accomplish.
You have a resolution that allows them only to use the hose twice week. There's a-
Right.
So,
I know there's a resolution about that, but
if they do it every day, we make them stop.
If
Do
we
it
find
twice,
it-
If we catch.
I'm just saying that this seems to defeat the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish.
I doubt
Okay.
anybody be out there watching it.
Okay. Any discussion, Father? No. Okay. Let's vote.
Well, it's the problem, you're not watering the lawn.
Two more. Who's next?
No, you got 'em all. That's nine.
All 7 yes?
2 abstain.
2 abstain. Good, thank you. And the resolution passed. Next one is the same resolution for location of 5043. Steve, please.
Okay. Resolution 0325-XX. Approve the request to install an artificial turf at 5043 Avenida del Sol. Whereas, and we'll take out one of those, on March 6, 2025, the Landscape Committee reviewed an alteration request from the manor of 5043 for the removal of existing turf and installation of artificial turf for the area in the front, sides, and back of the unit at their expense. And whereas the committee recommends approving the request for the installation of artificial turf at the manor's expense located at 5043 Avenida del Sol. And whereas the resident must follow Resolution 03-24-110, artificial turf guidelines and standards. Now therefore be it resolved, March 18, 2025, Board of Directors approve the request to install artificial turf at 5043. And resolve further that the officers and agents of this corporation are hereby authorized on behalf of the corporation to carry out this resolution.
Any move?
I so move.
Steve move. Ruth to second. Any discussion? It's the same discussion as the last one. So we don't have any, so let's vote. The same thing, 7 yes, 2 abstain.
And it should
Thank
be
you.
the same.
Thank you, Kurt. Our business is done, finally. So item 12, third mutual committee report. First, finance. Donna,
Okay.
take away,
Yeah,
please.
all right. And just as the treasurer's report, I just want to remind everybody, we heard the CEO today talk about the budget process. And I just want to remind everybody, it's ongoing. Starting last fall, late last fall, we already began the budget process for 2026. And as we are going through this year, that will be refined. And there will be various open meetings where members of the community are able to hear and listen and get their input as well. So I just wanted to remind people of that as we move into the actual report. And the first slide, when it comes up, is just the 30,000-foot level view. This is all of our income, all of our assessment revenue, all of our non-assessment revenue, and all of our expenses compiled together. And as you can see, we have total assessment revenue of approximately, the total revenue was $4 million, which you can see how it is divided, and against total expenses of $2.8 million, with a budget positive of $1.1 million. As we move on to the next slide, which actually puts it together. So we've got all of our budgets together, and all of our revenue and expenses together. It's compared now to budget. And keep in mind, this is only through January 31st of this year, and therefore we're going to see a lot of differences because sometimes the timing of payments and the timing of work, especially in that first month, shows results that will be corrected later on. And as you can see, as we look, we are right on target for budget with assessment revenue. We are slightly less on non-assessment revenue. And some of that has to do with timing as well as particularly with restoration after some damage. And so you can see that we are, at the moment, favorable to budget by $1.1 million. And as the year progresses, we will be able to better see how we're doing. And this is very important just to get a sense of how we're going through the year. As we move on to the next slide, this shows any extreme or the major variances. And you can see it looks really good that outside services have a variance of close to $1 million in our favor. That has a great deal to do with timing for programming and billing, et cetera. So we will have to watch that as the year goes on. Employee compensation is favorable at $89,000. Unfortunately, that favorability is due to open positions. And so we continue to recruit for those, and hopefully we'll see those positions filled, even though we enjoy seeing the positive response to budget. Material supplies, again, very much due to timing, as we've already talked about. Investment income is favorable primarily because Treasury bills are yielding a higher return than anticipated at the time they were purchased. We purchased them for a year, and so we are seeing that far in the future. And I just want to remind all of our members who might be still listening that we have very strict guidelines about our investments. We, first of all, must consider safety. That's number one. Second, liquidity. We have to be able to have the ability to turn that into cash if we should need it. And third, of course, is yield, as we always are thinking of, but yield is never to be valued above safety. And so keeping that in mind, it's really wonderful to see that, in fact, our investment income is doing quite well and has really been wonderful in terms of maintaining our reserve fund. The negativity that you see in fees and charges for services, really, again, it's a timing issue. It has to do with the timing of billing for chargeable services and the relationship of insurance payments, et cetera. And so again, as the year moves on, we will have a better sense of that. So let's move on to slide number 4, where we take a look at the non-assessment revenues. We know where the assessment revenues are coming from. We don't need a pie chart. And so here, but you can see it's really nice to see 50% of our non-investment revenue is from our investments in those T-bills and from our reserve fund. Chargeable services at 14% is a very nice contribution. And as we move around the slide, laundry, lease processing, permit fees, resale, most of these are very small, inspection fee, golf carts, residence violations, very, very small contributions, but we always show this to give you a sense of where that non-assessment revenue actually comes from. And as we move on to the next slide, here we actually see our total expenses, again, not by budget, but by totality. And again, not surprisingly, 43%, the biggest part of our budget, has to do with employee compensation and related things. And as our ongoing insurance discussions probably have conveyed, that is always a major concern for us, and we try to keep that piece of the pie as small as we can. Moving on, utilities. What is interesting is that those three pieces, utilities, insurance, employee compensation, moving backwards, those three pieces are pieces over which we have very little control. We can't control the utilities. We can't control insurance. We work constantly with it to try and do our best, but again, the industry does what it does, and we try and leverage as best we can. So it's really those smaller groups don't contribute nearly as much as those areas where we have very little ability. And so it's just something we like our members and residents to understand. And as we move on to the next slide, to slide number 6, we really keep a close eye, a very close eye, on our operating income. As up till now, everything has been the 30,000-foot level. It's everything combined. But operating income, this is the budget that we plan based upon what we anticipate. And so it's very important to keep an eye on watching that. And as you can see, again, the portion of our assessments of that larger amount that we just saw, the portion is $2.6 million that is actually going toward operations. Non-assessment revenue contributes a much lesser amount. And total revenue, again, for the period ending January 31st, $2.7 million for the operating portion, against expenses of $2.4 million, leaving us at the moment an operating surplus of $286,000, which as the year progresses and we get more caught up on the combination of bills and services, we will have a better sense of. So let's move on. Next, we just looked at the operating budget. Now we're going to look at the non-operating budgets, and we have several. The Garden Villa Fund, a very small fund, but very important fund for those buildings. Unappropriate Expenditures Fund, better known as our contingency fund. That's for the things that might happen. We have an aging community, and so we keep that quite healthy. And you can see that as of the end of January, that was at $6 million. The disaster fund, again, a fund that's sort of a contingency fund for disasters and anything that's considered an emergency or a situation. And that is $5.4 million, and you can see that that is growing, and we're slowly continuing to build that up. And replacement funds, that's what we typically refer to as our reserves. That is the largest of them, sitting at $24 million, for a total of non-operating fund balances of $35.8 million. So with that, let's move on to the next area. This is actually just looking at it in a graphic form year by year, and you can see that we have been growing our replacement funds, that is our reserve fund, very, very slowly. From 24 to 25, there was very little growth. There was actually a slight drop from 23 to 24, as you can see, and a lot of that has to do with planned expenditures. So we have it sitting there for when we need it, and so it was planned, and by 2025, we'd already made up what we took out. And so, again, something for you to just get a sense of over time. And moving on, this is just our resale history report, and I urge you to keep in mind, yes, year-to-date is about the same. That is year-to-date, meaning January 31st. That's a little while ago, but it's what we have the records for in time for this and our finance meeting 2 weeks ago. In 2023, there were fewer, so things look like they may be moving up. What's more important is when you look at the average resale price, please always keep in mind that there are occasionally outliers, and we're seeing some very large ticket homes that are going. Recently, a home went for $2 million. And so when something like that is in or out of that monthly report, we're going to see the numbers skewed. So don't get quite so excited about those one way or the other. We are holding our value, and that's what's important. And with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Donna. It's a long report. Now, item B, report of ACSC Committee. Director Yoon.
Yeah, we discussed about the flooring. Thank you. At the last month meeting, we discussed the flooring and then air conditioning, and then we discussed again today about the bars and all that. And some of them we made a resolution here today. And the next meeting is scheduled in February. Oh, no, April, excuse me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item C, report of MNC Committee. Director Karimi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. MNC met on March 3rd, 2025, and the first item was that we're going to have our next meeting, which is on April 7th. We're going to discuss and have presentation about the damage restoration process and presentation about that in order to inform our members about the processes, responsibilities, and how it should be handled. So that's going to be a lot of information about the damage restoration processes. Okay. We have some members comment on the downspouting garden villas, and we had the dripping pipe in the parking lot of the garden villas. We discussed those. We also talk about the railing for the garden villas, the entrance, And we send that to the next meeting, or we send a request to the Finance Committee for the next meeting to see if they have money available for this year to do the railing, or it has to be the next year the next year budget. So we will wait for the finance to tell us that which way we can go. On the Garden Villas seepage study, the study will be presented to the MNC. I don't know if it's going to be next meeting, because next meeting is damage restoration. I will talk to the MNC, see if we can include that, or it has to be the following month for the report to be talked about within the MNC for the water seepage in the garages and garden villas. We discussed the return water request for 5391 Pasilla del Lago. It was put on hold because there is a lot of construction need to be done on that building before we consider the retaining wall. We also discussed the Vegas issues, and you heard about that, enough of that today, so I'm not going to mention that. Our next meeting is on April 7 at 1:30 in the boardroom. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Third Mitchell Landscape Committee meeting was held on March 6, 2025, 9:30 a.m. in this boardroom. Department head reported of March 2025 project progresses, in-house tree working, training updates. Landscape Committee discussed and considered the followings. A, Gate 14 AB 1572 meeting with the residents on March 12, 2025, 1:30 p.m. in this boardroom. Staff explained and informed the project in detail. A lot of questions raised from residents were answered in detail as well. Committee approved the Gate 11 turf reduction program, that there were 2 landscape alteration requests from Unit 5042, 5043, which we approved today as an artificial turf. C, PPRP prior paint landscape project progress report. It is ongoing project with the contractor. D, committee request landscaping department to come up with plans to address the followings. This is very important. First, lawn repair plan, slope repair plan, ticket reduction plan. I already mentioned a few things already, but we request the plan to address all these 3 items. Third, Landscape Committee next meeting is scheduled on Thursday, April 3rd, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. in this boardroom. Thank you. Next item is report of Water Conservation Committee. Donna, take it away,
Yes,
please.
and although actually the last meeting was the Water Conservation Subcommittee, this committee meets quarterly, January, April, July, and October, the very last Thursday of the month at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, either in this room when we have a speaker or in the Elm Room when we can, because that's a room conducive to people participating in the meeting rather than the separation of the committee members from those who might want to participate. And so I'm very pleased to say that the Water Conservation Committee will next meet on April 24th, the last Thursday of the month, at 2 p.m., and it will indeed be in the Elm Room. The last meeting was highlighted by a fabulous presentation by the general manager of El Toro Water District on their emergency preparedness. It was incredibly thorough and certainly reassuring to all those who were able to hear it. And he has offered to come back anytime we need him, and he's always thoroughly enjoyed, and so we look forward to having him again sometime in the future. And with that, that concludes our report.
Okay, thank you. Report of Resident Policy and Compliance Committee. Director Wichtig.
Okay, thank you, President Park. This committee met last on February 25th, and as this board has discussed and approved today for 28-day notice, the following two items. One was to reduce the lease cap from 30% to 25%. Again, that was put on 28-day notice. And the second item, which I want to give you a little more information about, is that was also put on 28-day notice, is to amend the financial qualifications policy so that applicants' income and assets will be calculated collectively when there is more than one applicant. This will allow an adult child to be on the title with their parent or parents who they by themselves would not qualify. By allowing this change, this would move many of the future purchases from being leased manors to being owner-occupied. So that's on 28-day notice. Two future items that the policy committee will be addressing are one, unpermitted alterations, and two, definition of allowable use of exclusive common area on exterior patio, courtyard, and garages. And the next meeting of this committee is scheduled for Wednesday, March 26th at 9:30 here in the boardroom.
Okay, next item is item 13, GRF committee highlights. Are we still reporting?
Yes.
or-
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay.
So, first, CAC meeting.
The Community Activities Committee. This committee met most recently on March 13th. There were 3 items on the agenda. The first 2 were reviewed and recommended to the full GRF board for consideration. One was the Village Community Fund project application for the Camera Club to purchase new equipment. And number 2 was the Village Community Fund project for the equestrian Help the Herd program to fund Phase 3, which aims to establish an ongoing donation program. Funds will be used for veterinary care, essential equipment, and facility upgrades. For those of you who are not familiar with the Village Community Fund, it is a 501c3 company that is designed to act as a repository for donated funds for village clubs, organizations, and boards. Once the requested funds are raised, the village community officially donates the funds to GRF for the disbursement of the funds as appropriate. Equipment that is purchased by those funds becomes the property of GRF and is maintained by GRF. And that concludes the report.
And then B as well,
B is,
traffic hearing.
oh, traffic hearings, yes. Okay. I've taken over actually traffic hearings from President Park, so this was my first time at traffic hearings. We met on February 19th. 8 members of the community were charged with a total of 15 violations. One person charged with 2 violations, one for an abandoned vehicle, and the second for an expired registration was found not guilty. This person had the car stored in their location, and they were overseas where they lived for half the year, and the car was here for half the year, and they had a legitimate registration and the reason to have their car sitting waiting for them when they returned. Okay? 2 charges for speeding were found guilty. 4 charges for failure to obey a stop sign were also found guilty. Okay? 4 cases were about the failure to produce a driver's license. Individuals apparently, when stopped by security, some of those residents feel that they don't have to produce a driver's license or demonstrate that they have a legal right to drive. 3 were found guilty and fined. 1 had the charge dismissed. One of the most expensive charges was for an individual illegally parking in another member's assigned parking space and charging their electric vehicle from our electricity without a permit.
Oh.
Okay? Please note that that the schedule for traffic monetary penalties was approved by GRF and implemented this past January. Failure to stop is now $200 for the first offense, $300 for a second offense, and $500 for a third offense. And believe it or not, we already have somebody who's at the $500 level. Okay? Speeding 11 to 15 miles per hour over the limit of 25 miles per hour is now $100 for the first offense, $200 for the second offense, and $400 for the third offense. Please, it is important for everyone to obey the traffic regulations so that we can keep our residents safe. We have many residents who like to walk in the community, which often includes crossing streets. Given the average age of our residents, it is especially important that we as motorists do what we can to protect them. The next meeting of the Traffic Hearing Committee is tomorrow, Wednesday the 19th at 9 a.m. in the boardroom. Please know, though, that this is a closed meeting. Only individuals who are dealing with traffic offenses are permitted to attend the meeting.
Thank you.
That concludes.
Yes.
Yeah, and just to amplify what you just heard, the increase in the fines is not intended to be a source of revenue for us. That wasn't the purpose of it. The purpose is to keep our community safe. It was thought that the $25 and $50 fines, people didn't show up, they just paid them and kept going through the stop signs. So I just want to make sure that people were aware of that was the reason. And as treasurer, I feel very comfortable saying that was not intended or thought it was a source of revenue.
Regardless, the fine is now closing on the state level. Yes. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, GRF Maintenance and Construction Committee, Director Karimi.
Disaster preparedness.
Oh, excuse me. See, disaster preparedness first. Task force.
Okay.
Yes, Director.
The task
Park.
force met on January 28th of this year. The next meeting's on March 25th at 9:30 in the boardroom.
Okay.
The important thing that was considered was the Jacob Green and Associates Disaster Preparedness Study. And what this does is it looks at what the city does in a disaster, what we should do during a disaster, and makes recommendations to us. That study is going to be in the director's boxes this Friday, the 21st. So it's a real important thing for us to look at.
Good, thank you. Now, GRF MNC Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The GRF Maintenance Construction Committee met on February 8th. That report was on February 12th. That report reported in February 18th of the third board meeting. The next meeting is scheduled April 9.
Okay, good. GRF Finance Committee, Director Sostek.
Yes, actually, that Finance Committee met February 19th at 1:30 here in the boardroom. And I just want to share there weren't any major things except for the announcement of a need for a new treasurer, because William Cowan, who had been treasurer of GRF, left us to take on the position of General Counsel of the National Labor Relations Board in Washington, D.C. And we wish him all the best.
Good, thank you. Now, GRF Landscape Committee was met February 12th, and next meeting is May 14, 9:30 a.m. in this boardroom. H, which is GRF Communication Committee, Director Moore is not here, so we will skip that. I, Space Planning Ad Hoc Committee, Director Karimi.
Our next meeting is scheduled for
March 24th.
March 24th.
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
J, Information Technology Advisory Committee, GRF ITAC Committee. Closed meeting was held February 28, 2025, 1:30 p.m. This advisory committee overseeing the development and implementation of a Microsoft-based Dynamic 365 software program, ERP. Committee reviewed the following items. ERP Phase 1, since the September 1st to go live, the Phase 1 program has been successfully launched and completed and going well after 2 months ending closing. Committee reviewed the Phase 2 program, which include the following. 1, budget preparation in Q1. B, AP automation Q2. Customer service Q3, and then field service Q4. I hope these programs going well. Next ITAC meeting is scheduled March 28th, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. on web closed meeting. Thank you. Now, GRF Broadband Ad hoc Committee, Director Muchnick, please.
Okay, thank you. The committee met recently. The contract with Ting is still being negotiated. Ting has accepted most of the requested changes that we have made, and we hope to have the contract completed within the next month. For those of you who've been following this, this is a very exciting project for the village. We're going to be replacing our current cable TV with fiber optics that will be run to everybody's unit. They'll have access to a DirecTV package, which will be part of the regular programming for them. I think it includes up to 145 stations. And in terms of internet, everybody will have the same level of internet speed. It'll be 2 gigabytes of internet speed, and that's the plan. And there is no scheduled meeting at this point. We're waiting for the finalization of the contract. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I missed one report. GRF Mobility and Vehicles Committee, Director Johnson. I'm sorry.
She missed it too.
She missed it too. I have a question for Robert. So are we still on track to get this done if they're coming back in a month?
It's going to be an 18-month project. From whenever the contract is signed, it's going to be 18 months. So the longer it takes this way, our contract with the current West Coast internet provider, I believe, expires December of '26. So at this point, we still are okay in terms of it.
I think I know why I skipped the Mobility and Vehicle Committee, because it was met February 5th. Next meeting scheduled May 7th, I think. We already reported last month. Okay.
Right.
Thank you. GRF Security and Community Access, Director Wayne, please.
Yes, the last meeting was on Wednesday, February 26th at 1:30 p.m. And the newest information is that Garth, I'm going to try this. His first name is Egon, and I think it's Garth Hoffner. Did I get that right?
Yes,
I
that's
didn't-
right. Close enough.
I didn't butcher his name, okay. All right. He is the new Security and Community Access Committee Chair. And so he was there for that meeting and called it to order. There were some other new members on there as well. For members' comments, members spoke on traffic concerns at Clubhouse 1, cars going through stop signs, potential accidents from going through the stop signs. So this is the same story as we've heard. You know, it's the stop signs. So there is no recommendation on what we do about the stop signs. I was thinking of putting spike strips in this.
That'll work.
Moving right along.
I'm glad you're not in charge.
Okay.
Important information. Eric Nunez shared with committee members and residents on the engagement in contract with them to create EOP and training for employees and volunteers. The training may be pushed to April. It was scheduled for March. There'll be updates at the next SCAC meeting. Security statistics. Here we go again. Notice of violations. Failure to stop at stop signs. 52% of all citations were issued from October 24th to February 10th of this year. Again, stop signs.
Stop signs, yes.
Right. Compliance notice violations were sent out to 2,341 citations, with 30% of their call volume due to clutter. So, yeah, you got that number, 2,341. Yeah.
Okay, that's it?
Okay, noteworthy. There were 120 thefts last year. The majority of them being bike thefts. So again, we come back to going to security, having your bike photographed, and getting the registration number. That way you may get your bike back. Okay. Automatic entry gates discuss the technology and cost savings of automation. More accessible for security, first responders, delivery, residents, and guests. Funding of $1,750,000 is proposed for the automation of 8 gates through Laguna Woods Village, which involve transitioning to 24-hour access model, which aims to provide access to the community for residents, guests, and emergency personnel. And those are the important items for that report. Next meeting will be on Wednesday, April 23rd at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you, Wayne, Director Wayne. Now, finally, we're at the future agenda item. We have 4 items: reduce the leasing cap from 30 to 28-day notice, approval of a proposed amendment to financial qualification policy, also 28 notice, revision to standard 11A interior hard surface flooring rules, also 28-day notice, recession to interior hard surface flooring complaint rules is 28-day notice. So this is the future item for the next month, and any future items, anyone has it? Any director has it? No? Okay, so final director comment. Howard? No comment. Director Craig?
No comment.
Director Ruth?
No comment.
Robert?
No comment.
Karimi?
Well, I take all of your time. I have comments. I just want to make sure that we understand when we were discussing some of the issues like Vegas. My issue wasn't the cost of it, how much it's going to cost to put it back on, etc. My issue was when we do something, we need to think long term, the future. It doesn't matter if it's $1 or $100,000. We have responsibility to think these things through when we set up a procedure or we want to do something. When we don't do that, then we come across these, I call it waste. As I said, it doesn't matter how much it is. It's a $1 or $100,000. We are fiduciary. We have to think about it. We have to make sure that we protect people's, our members' money. And that's my point. It's not the piece of wood, it's the operation, it's the procedure, is the way that we operate. That's my point of view on that. So if I got a little bit raised my voice, I apologize, but I'm trying to get my point across. Thank you.
Okay. Director, yes.
Yeah, our community is, there's many Alzheimer people or patient, resident. They are wandering around before they go to care house or family trying to keep them around. So how we gonna help them? How we gonna, I don't know how we have to think about what to do with them. And at some point, I'd like to discuss it. Thank you.
Okay, Director Sostek?
No additional comments.
No. How about Steve?
Yeah, I have something I've been concerned about for years, and I hope that this study that comes out about disaster preparedness addresses it. But I've been concerned for several years, if we're in a disaster, how do we evacuate people out of 2- and 3-story buildings? And I'm just eager to get my hands on this study to see if they've addressed it. If they don't, I think we need to take that as a recommendation from our board for somebody to take it up and find an answer to it. It's been kicked down the can for at least 5 years that I know of.
Thank you. Thank you all. We'll recess 15 minutes from 12 o'clock. Oh, it's No, 16 minutes, actually, so. 16, I said, 1-6. Move to adjourn meeting.
And I